जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव जय राधा माधव। श्री राधा माधव की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि 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 बोल। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी, वृषाभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो ब्रह्मण्यदेवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. So today we are reading from the 7th canto, chapter 4, which is entitled as Hiranyakashipu terrorizes the universe. And we are reading text number 22 and 23. Tasye namostu kashthayai Tasye namostu kashthayai Yatratma haririshvaraha Yatratma haririshvaraha Yadagatva nivartante Yadagatva nivartante Shanta sannyasino mala Shanta sannyasino mala Itite sanyat Itite sanyatatmana Tatmana Itite sanyastatmana Samahita dhiyo mala Samahita dhiyo mala Upatashtur rishikesham Upatashtur rishikesham Vinidravayu bhojana Vinidravayu bhojana Tasye namostu kasthayai Yatratma haririshvara Yadgatva nivartante Shanta sannyasino mala Itite sanyatatmanaha Samahita dhiyo mala Upatashtur rishikesham Vinidravayu bhojana. Yatratma haririshvara Yadagatva nani vartante Santa sannyasino mala Itete sanyatatmanaha Samahita Dhiyo Mala Upatashtur Rishikesham Vinidra Vayubhojana. Anybody? Tasyai, unto that. Namaha, our respectful obeisances. Astu, let there be. Kashtayai, direction. Yatra, wherein. Atma, the supersoul. Harihi, the supreme personality of Godhead. Ishvaraha, the supreme controller. Yat, which. Gatva, approaching. Na, never. Nivartante, return. Shanta, peaceful. Sannyasinaha, saintly persons in the renounced order of life. Amalaha, pure. Iti, thus. Te, they. Sanyatatmanaha, having controlled minds. Samahita, steadied. Dhiya, intelligences. Amala, purified. Upatashtuhu, worshipped. Rishikesham, the master of the senses. Vinidra, without sleeping. Vayubhojana, eating only air. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons, go, and from which, having gone, they never return. Without sleep, fully controlling their minds, all living on only their breath, the predominating deities of the various planets began worshipping Rishikesha with this meditation. Purport. The two words tasyai kashtayai are very significant. Everywhere, in every direction, in every heart and in every atom, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in his features as Brahman and Paramatma. Then what is the purpose of saying tasyai kashtayai in that direction where Hari is situated? During Hiranyakashipu's time, his influence was everywhere, but he could not force his influence on into the places where the Supreme Personality of Godhead had his pastimes. For example, on this earth, there are such places as Vrindavan and Ayodhya, which are called Dhamas. In the Dhamma, there is no influence from Kali Yuga or any demon. If one takes shelter of such a Dhamma, worship of the Lord becomes very easy, and resultant spiritual advancement quickly takes place. In fact, in India, one may still go to Vrindavan and similar places to achieve the results of spiritual activities quickly. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto their direction, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated, where those purified souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons go, and from which, having gone, they never return. Without sleep, fully controlling their minds, and living on only their breath, the predominating deities of the various planets began worshipping Rishikesha with this meditation. So, maybe I should introduce myself a little bit. Need it? My name is Anupam Krishna. I joined ISKCON in 1994, and I lived most of my spiritual life in India. I was 7 years living in Mayapur and 10 years in Vrindavan. And in Mayapur, I studied the 12th cantos in the Gurukul. And based on that, I've also written several courses. And I've been asked to give some classes here today in Germany, in Köln. And I'm initiated by Srila Bhakti Charuswami in 1995. And what else should I say? I'm happy to be in Germany. And this is my first time that I'm lecturing in another European country than Holland and Belgium. So, this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam is related to another section here in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 7th canto, 1st chapter, text number 33. Narada is talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. Narada is a spaceman, a great saint, one of the sons of Brahma. And he travels and appears in the palace of Maharaj Yudhishthir to give him some deeper understanding and knowledge. And that conversation is recorded in the 7th canto. More or less, the whole 7th canto is a conversation between Narada and Yudhishthir. And Yudhishthir Maharaj will ask him about the activities of the greatest terrorist ever, Hiranyakashipu. And he's a really, really big demon. He says, Narada says to Yudhishthir that Sishupal and Dantavakra were actually Vishnu's Parshadas, his eternal associates. But due to a curse by Brahmanas, they fell from Vaikuntha to this material world. Now Yudhishthir, he can't believe his ears. He asks, Maharaj Yudhishthir inquired, what kind of great curse could have even liberated Vishnu Bhaktas? And what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates? For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again to this material world is impossible. I cannot believe this. Now you have to understand, Narada is not from this planet. He's a great saint, he's a universal saint, but Yudhishthira says, I cannot believe this. But Narada is saying this. You can imagine if maybe take a great personality in this age. Who's a great personality? Who's a great personality in this day and age? Well, he's from another age. In this day and age. Difficult, huh? They're not more great personalities anymore. Somebody who's really an authority. Okay, let's take Prabhupada for the sake. Prabhupada says something. Prabhupada, I don't believe this. I don't believe you. How would it sound? It would sound upsetting. You're doubting the Acharya. So similarly, Yudhishthira is doubting here Narada, who is the Acharya in Bhakti. As a matter of fact, he's one of the Shakti Avesh avatars of Lord Krishna. His Bhakti Shakti Avesh is in Narada. And still he says, I cannot believe this. How can Vishnu Bhaktas fall from Vaikuntha by a curse of a Brahman? And why would somebody curse a Vishnu Bhakta? He says, the bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with the material body, senses, or life air. Therefore, kindly explain how associates of the personality of Godhead were cursed to descend in material bodies like ordinary persons. So, whenever we reach Srimad Bhagavatam, it is necessary to recap what was the cause for a certain pastime to be related, to be narrated. There's always a question. And these questions, they appear throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as a matter of fact, the Bhagavatam itself starts with 6 root questions which the sages asked in Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami, who appeared there, and he was a professor in the 18 Puranas. So the questions have always been given in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we should always try to understand why a question is asked. That's very important. Unless we do that, you don't imbibe the Srimad Bhagavatam. It remains theory, boring maybe, or simply some stories. But we should always ask, what is the doubt behind the question? Because the question arises when there is a doubt. So now in this question, it is very obvious what is the doubt. But many other questions, the doubt is not so clear. But if we read the reply to that question, the answer to those questions, sometimes the questions becomes very clear. But doubt is something of the living entity. Something which does not live doesn't have any doubts because there is no consciousness. So as soon as there is consciousness, there is something like a doubt. There is agreement and there is disagreement. So one should try to imbibe those doubts, because then when the answers will come, you get such deep realization by the answers. As a matter of fact, the best way to hear Srimad Bhagavatam is to go to Naimisharanya and sit with the sages. Everyone knows Sanskrit and they're speaking there on the bank of the Ganga, and everyone hears Srimad Bhagavatam. But is that physically possible? No, not anymore. Dwapara Yuga has passed by, we're in Kali Yuga. But mentally we can. So when Saunik Rishi is asking a question to Suta Goswami, he is speaking for the complete audience of the sages, that they have this doubt. So let me speak a certain question. And it's always important to ask, what is the doubt behind these questions? Because doubt is, like I said, a symptom of the living entity, of something which lives. So if you're alive, then you should have doubts. And when you get answers to your questions, then you'll feel satisfied and deeper understanding. So, the Srila Prabhupada, he comments on that question which is raised by Yudhishthir Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto, 1st chapter 34 and 35 verses. Then he says there, I'll just take a few sections because it's so interesting that you would like to read the whole section again, but it's not relevant here. Just a few sections to give a very clear understanding what is the hardcore essence of this doubt of Yudhishthir Maharaj. He says there, any pastime conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is an arrangement of Yogamaya. So Yogamaya is the Maya that connects and intensifies spiritual relationships. That Maya is called Yogamaya. Yoga means to link, to connect. Not Mahamaya, Srila Prabhupada says. That Mahamaya is the Maya that covers and makes one forget one's spiritual relationships. So that's the difference between Yogamaya and Mahamaya. But understand, there are no two Mayas, there is only one Maya. And her name is Mother Durga. So she functions in two ways, just like electricity can function creating heat and also creating cold. So, Srila Prabhupada says, any pastime conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is an arrangement of Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. Therefore, it is to be understood that when Jai and Vijay descended to this material world, they came because there was something to be done for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, it is a fact that no one falls from Vaikuntha. So this very line, this very statement has created a lot of controversy in our society. Controversy is healthy. Discussion is healthy. Debate is healthy. But there should not become any physical violence, because that is childish. Therefore, debate, Nimai Pandit, Digvijay, Kashi was his name? Kashi was his name, who came to Mahaprabhu to defeat him. This Digvijay, Keshav Kashmiri. He came to debate and Mahaprabhu defeated him. So it is in our tradition, in our parampara, that we don't hide from a discussion. Discussions are healthy. and they strengthen your understanding. So Prabhupada mentions this much in this purport. So then he goes on to explain, having said that no one falls from Vaikuntha, he goes on to explain that one does not fall from the Vaikuntha planets, but one does fall from the Brahman effulgence, which is the extended area beyond the, before the Vaikuntha planets. And he quotes that famous verse, Yenye ravindaksha vimuktamaninas tvai ashtabhavad avishuddha buddhayaha aruhya krichrena param padam tataha patanti adho anadritya yushmad angrayaha. So, those who consider themselves to be liberated on a liberated platform because they have purified their mind. And that is an illusion to think that if the mind is purified, I'm already liberated. But that's not fully like that. Their buddhi is still avishuddha buddhaya. In this verse it says here. And by a lot of austerities, difficulties, meditations, vratas, tapasyas, they go to that realm where they become free from the modes. They think that they are freed. And maybe they are even freed and reach the Brahman effulgence. But then, patanti adho, they fall down from there. Why? Anadritya, adar means to respect somebody. And anadritya, not respecting. Yushmad, your angraya, your forms, your limbs. So, one can be very much liberated, but he discards Krishna's form as material. That will cause his fall from the Brahman effulgence. So, what actually is being said there in that purport is one does not fall from Vaikuntha, but one has to become Tatatstha. Tatatstha means situated on the border between spiritual and material realms. And we, conditioned souls, or jivas, or atmas, we are constitutionally Tatastha Shakti, situated on that borderline. In Germany, I don't think you have any. Do you have any oceans here or any beach? No. They all go. There is. In the north, okay, cold beach. Because most times when we are in Holland, in Scheveningen, we find many Germans. They go there, because Holland has a long beach. You see this. Sometimes the ocean comes in and it retracts, goes back, and it leaves a line behind of water and dry. So that is tatastha, that line. On one side it is dry, on the other side it is wet. And we are actually from that border energy. And now it says here, we become tatastha. Now, tatastha has another meaning. It is very much used in Hindi language. It means one who is distantiated. If somebody is very intimate with you, then he is your relative. But if he all of a sudden turns his back upon you and he lives in a different place far away, we say, oh, he has become tatastha. He has become tatastha. He has walked out from this relationship. He doesn't care. He doesn't call anymore. He has become tatastha. So that is what's actually happening in the spiritual world, that the living entities, they can become tatastha. Krishna bahir mukha jiva bhogamancha kare pashite mayatare jhapatiya dhare. When the jivas, they turn their back from Krishna, then they become liable to become entangled in material nature. Now, what actually happens there is that you're originally rasa with Krishna, your original relationship, your swarup in relationship with Krishna, it tends to become blurred, and you tend to go down to Shanta rasa, because in Brahman there is only Shanta, calmness, peace, Shanta rasa. So that's the thing which first has to happen. You don't want your relationship with Krishna. Somehow you feel like I don't belong here. There is a cloud out there. Actually, you don't fall down, you fall up actually, because there is a cloud in the Vaikuntha realm called Paravyoma, which is the material world. So it's like a cloud which appears sometimes and disappears in the sky full of light. So the fall of the jiva is actually part of your sambandha jnana. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that the scriptures have to be understood in 3 steps: sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. So sambandha means your relationship which is basically Gyan. Now, Gyan means knowledge. It can also mean theory, but spiritual knowledge is not theory. Spiritual knowledge, why is it spiritual? Because it has consciousness. And when you discuss it and when you taste knowledge, there is also some relishment. It is different than your biology, physics, languages in school. No matter how much you study it, the taste is very limited. But if it is samandhigyan, to discuss it, tushanticha, ramanticha, there is always pleasure, it always increases, you like to hear more and discuss more. So that is samandhigyan, especially because it's dealt with you and your relationship with Krishna. And as you're discussing it, you will feel the bliss because it's chit, it is an conscious knowledge, it is living knowledge. So that is a sambandha. So your fall, your breach of relationship, your breach of faith with Krishna is part of your sambandhigyan. And it teaches you how foolish you were. You're fool number one because you're now in the material world and you wanted to forget Krishna. Often this question arises, how can there be a mistake in a spiritual world and jivas are perfect, nitya siddha? How can such thing come up in a jiva? As a matter of fact, to understand everything fully from this dimension of like material dimension of length, breadth, and width, which we are used to, we can only think in 3 dimensions. It is not really possible to understand something from a world where there is unlimited dimensions. We know from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, once Lord Krishna, once Brahma went to Lord Krishna in Dwarka to have his darshan. And the gatekeepers told Lord Brahma, okay, how should we introduce you? Well, tell him I'm Brahma, There's no need for, you can imagine if you are the Lord of the universe, the creator, and somebody asks, how do we have to introduce you? Give us your card. You found your mobile. What is this? Can't you see? I'm Brahma, the creator. So the news went that the gatekeeper Dwarpar went to Krishna and said that Brahma has come to have your darshan. He asked him which Brahma it is. So the Dwarpal went, and Brahma was even more shocked. Which Brahma? Which Brahma? He was thinking, are there more Brahmas then? And Krishna knew his heart, so he opened a scope, a vision of all the universes in which there were many, many Brahmas, and many, many Shivas, and many, many Indras. And the other Brahmas had many, many more heads, 5 heads, 10 heads, 15 heads, 500 heads, 5,000 heads, And our Brahma, the 4-headed Brahma, he found himself to be like a mouse among giants, Then he understood how great Krishna is. Now, we don't have 4 heads like Brahma to understand the topic. We only have 1 head, which is made in Kali Yuga, in Köln. Anyone try to understand something which Brahma could not understand from the dimension where so many Brahmas came with so many heads, and they were all bowing down to Dwarkadhish, and their crowns were jingling, and there were jewels and gems, shining their crowns and illuminating Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And Brahma understood, yes, even I couldn't understand. And we think we can understand something from Goloka. So these debates should be taken with a lot of humility, like Brahma did. We have to know like that. But it is not an offense to question. It is good to question. Questions is healthy. Now, a straight answer to this question is, in an act of devotion, in the last waves, there is described something called rasa abhasa. Rasa abhasa. And rasa abhasa literally means a shadow of rasa. Rasa means the taste you have in a relationship. If there is no taste in a relationship, you won't want to maintain that relationship. It becomes shanta, calmness, or tatastha, distantiated, right? Then there's no more taste. And you don't want that relationship anymore. Abhasa means something like a shadow, something which has been blurred. Rasa abhasa. It also means incompatible rasas. Some rasas cannot be mixed. Like Mother Yashoda is in Vatsalya rasa. She has affection for Krishna as an elderly person who likes to take care of Krishna. So you don't expect Mother Yashoda to be on the Rasa Mandal dancing with Krishna like the gopis are, younger gopis are doing. To think like that is called rasa abhasa, incompatible rasas. And that is possible in Golok, as Rupa Goswami mentions in the Nectar of Devotion, that Rasabhasa is possible. Now, that is, according to my understanding, what happened in Golok when a jiva falls. He commits a rasabhas, incompatible rasa. As Srila Prabhupada mentions, that you were envious of Krishna. Now, Krishna has many things, many qualities to be envious of. And it is your duty to find how foolish you were, on which quality or a combined mixture of qualities you were envious. Krishna or Bhagavan is defined as Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasha Shriyaha Jnana Vairagayauschaiva Shannim Bhaga Itingana. It says, one who contains all opulences, Aishwaryasya Samagrasya. Don't forget this word Samagra. I noticed that some people who are impersonalists, they quote this verse also, but they always leave behind this Samagrasya, because that means one who possesses everything. They want to equalize a jiva with the Supreme Lord, that also jivas have this. And as a fact, the scriptures also sometimes call Narada as Bhagavan, Shiva as Bhagavan, and like that. But they are not Samagra Bhagavan, not complete Bhagavan. They're almost Bhagavan, but not fully. So one who possesses all opulences, Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, all heroism or power, Viryasya, Yashasha, who's most popular. And sometimes the people proud of the religion. Our religion is 2,000 years old. Well, Krishna is 5,000 years already popular. And even before Krishna came during Treta Yuga, according to the Ramayana, the Rishis and Naimisharanya were already glorifying Krishna. And when Ramachandra came, they understood him to be the same Govinda. So he has even been popular since Treta Yuga, right? So he's very popular. He's eternally popular. Yashasha Shriya. He contains all beauty. Every limb, every part of his body is saturated with transcendental beauty. That means you look once, then you blink your eye, you look again, and it looks different, more beautiful. Then you blink again and more beautiful. That means transcendental beauty. It's not that you have seen it once and you click your eye and then, oh, I've seen it already. And Krishna is not like that. Just one little movement of his head and his beautiful earrings and his flute. If you see how he's moving his hair and his these earrings, they're shining and then illuminate his cheek. You keep watching. It's like food for the eyes, like food for the eyes. Archa Vigra. And you keep watching, you keep looking. And as the gopis had it, they could not stop looking, and they started cursing Lord Brahma. Why did you create eyelids that we have to blink? For that millions of a second, we cannot see Krishna. We want to have millions of eyes to look at the way he behaves, the way he acts, the way he's naughty, the way he's lovable, the way he's cheating. Everything is so much beautiful. Shri, Yashasha Shriya, Jnana. Krishna himself is the possessor or the embodiment of pure knowledge. Jnana, all knowledge. Anything you want to know, you can ask Krishna. And also understand there is nothing he doesn't know. Jnana, he knows everything. He knows first, then you know. Jnana, Vairagyas. And despite all these good qualities, which is personified in him, he is still very renounced. Because in the material world, you find somebody has good qualities, he becomes very attached. He wants to be popular. He wants to have more name, fame, applause, like that. But he's very detached from all of that. Like we say in modern day language, he's very cool. Cool? Cool means a person who walks, among a lot of people, and he pretends not to care for somebody. He's independent. We call that cool, cool. So Krishna is very cool. He's very renounced. And sometimes he's too renounced, He's nirmohi. He's never entangled in emotional entanglements, right? That's the difference between Shaktiman and Shakti, the possessor of energy. Krishna is never influenced by emotion. Like this. Mother Yashoda, she gets almost a heart attack and starts blaming Nanda Baba when she hears that a demon, a big snake, wanted to eat Krishna. Say, you didn't send enough guards. My little Krishna What happened if he would die? She's like completely terrorized. So much affection, moha. She doesn't care for her own life. She cares more for Krishna's life. Now, this is a part of bhakti. But it's also kind of an illusion, moha. Krishna is not like that. And therefore, the gopis invited him to sit on their veils and asked him, what kind of lover are you? You walked out of the rasa dance, you seem not to care for us. And Krishna said, you see, I can't do what you did. You gave up your household, your parents, your family, everything you had. You crossed the barriers of religion. It says in traditional Indian saying is that traditionally the doors were made of 4 pieces of wood, poles up and down. That was called chaukat, made of 4 pieces of wood. Nowadays, the last piece of wood they have cancelled in this day and age, and they've invited cockroaches and frogs and things like that to come in. But it's good to keep the last one also. But one who crosses the chaukat without the permission of the husband is not allowed to return home anymore. That tight Vedic society was. And Krishna says, you have crossed that chaukat to come and meet with me. But how can I do something like that? I cannot give up Nanda Baba. I cannot give up Yashoda. I cannot give up my devotees. So you have done something more great than I could ever do. Therefore, I can't repay you. You please be satisfied with your own bhakti. So here Krishna accepts defeat. See? Jnana Vairagya Steva. And that is his beauty, that, he is cool, but his coolness is even defeated by the gopis. Now, who's more cool then? The gopis are not cool. They're very attached to Krishna. But Krishna, and still, after having said so much, he still left Vrindavan, Gokul, and he went to Mathura. So then that point also comes up. And the gopis, they say, he's really nirmohi. There's no way to bind him. It is so difficult. He still left, like that. So this is one definition of what is Bhagavan. So, returning to that point, so there is this rasabhasa. And we committed some kind of Prabhupada says, envy towards Krishna. So now Krishna has these 6 qualities, and you can decide what was the cause for you to become envious. Maybe of his opulence, maybe of his knowledge, maybe of his beauty, maybe of his power, You see, jivas in this world, they try to imitate, even if they don't know Krishna, they want to be the most powerful. And then you have this WWF, American wrestling. I think you have ever seen it. These big, big, fat guys, they lift each other and they throw. You can a little bit get an idea of how powerful Krishna is when he slashes and smashes these Dhenukasuras and things like that, big, demons, they come, and Krishna grabs them and he throws them, like he's wrestling with them. And he's pounding his head, his chest, and the gopis are looking at him, and he knows they are looking. So he plays more drama, like an acting, like, look at me, things like that. So, but somebody can be envious. They want to be like that. So they join the WWF, World Wrestling Foundation, and they want to be like, powerful and Dusty Rhodes. And if I walk, then the earth should shake. Demons like these kind of things, So these are causes for rasabhasa. You pretend to be Krishna, the most powerful, the most beautiful, and that can lead to a breach or blurring down of your relationship. So that is there in Goloka. Now, as I said, it's a part of your Sambandha Gyan, and it is necessary for us to know this. What happened? What went wrong? Because if you get self-realized, at one point, you will also remember the mistake you made. There are several cases, and one which I very much like to speak on, which I don't have so much time, because the class is still 8:45 or 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock, okay, so we have some time. It's the life story of the great saint from Rajasthan, Mirabai. And she is, as a matter of fact, she was a disciple of Jiva Goswami, but she got her Japamala and her Iktara, a lady saint, from Santarai Das. But being in the mood of separation, then you generally choose that sampradaya which is preaching separation. Among the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, it's only the Gaudiyas who choose separation as the path, viraha as the path to attain Krishna. And another evidence that Meera was belonging to our Sampradaya is that she had a revelation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She wrote a beautiful poem, Abato Harinama Laulagi. At this moment, now you have started to chant Hari's Nam. You have given up your beautiful turban, long hair, you have become a bold sannyasi. Chaitanya Jako Namava, she says in that poem, that your name has become Chaitanya now, and you are tying yourself in a kaupin, which means a sannyasi underwear. So Srila Prabhupada, he confirms that this poem, Meera wrote this poem, and she was probably most related to Jiva Goswami, not Rupa Goswami, because the story goes that when Meera arrived in Vrindavan and wanted to have darshan of Jiva Goswami, then the brahmachari said that he's a Naistika brahmachari since childhood, he doesn't meet with women. So the Meera said, oh, I heard in Braj there is only one man and everyone else is a gopi. Today I got to know there is even another man. So this brahmachari brought this news to Jiva Goswami, came out, and Meera addressed her. So Jiva Goswami bowed down to Meera, said great words. And Meera said that, please stand up. She addressed him as Acharya or Goswami. Now, if Jiva Goswami is addressed as Acharya or Goswami, that means that Rupa and Sanatan cannot be there because they are senior. That means he was the Acharya of the Sampradaya at the time when Meera addressed him. Now, this much everyone knows, that the story goes like this. What reply would Jiva Goswami have given to Meera? Jiva Goswami. Jiva Goswami stood up and said, yes. At first Meera said that, my dear Goswami, I only repeated the words which I heard from the saints. Then Jiva Goswami stood up and said, yes, you are right. But there's a great difference in speaking and in acting. See, there's so many people who can say, oh, I see only gopis and there is only one Krishna. But you have to put it into action also. And this is typically a Gaudiya reply. So this was the meeting with Jiva Goswami of Meera. But when she attained her spiritual form in Braj, then she also realized what was the mistake she made by which she had to come down on this planet. And she has sung a very beautiful song in this. It goes like this. Sakhi re laj bairan bhai, Sakhi re laj bairan bhai, Shri Lal Gopal ke sang काहे नाहि गई सखी रे लाज बैरन भई. When she got to realize her spiritual form, she also saw what mistakes she had made. What happened was that when Krishna came to this planet 5,000 years ago, his Parshadas also came with him. Just like when Ramachandra came, his associates like Jambavan, Sugriv, all of them came with him. Now, there was no mistake done in Nitya Goloka, but on the earth planet, Meera took birth from the womb of a gopi, and her mother told her that chastity for a woman, or Stri Dharma, is the greatest gem. It is your greatest duty to fulfill that. So, when Meera, her spiritual form is of Madhavi Gopi, got this instruction from her mother, she took it to heart that chastity is the greatest dharma for a woman. So when she got married, then her mother told her, the place you're going now, there is a boy, he named Shama Sundar, and he's always wanting to see faces of the gopis. Never show your face to him and don't talk to him. That was the instruction mother gave. But then, when she was going in this palanquin, then of course Shamsundar came and he wanted to see her face. So then this gopi, she pulled her veils tightly so that Shamsundar could not see her face. And Shamsundar said, Aho, aba mai kaha dekhu? Then he said in a loud thundering voice, Aba to tu mere mukh dekhbe ko tarsegi. This is Braj Bhasha. Krishna says, I can't see your face. You know, now you will cry to see my face. So this is what happened when she realized that that was actually a rasa abhasa. Because Krishna is the eternal Paramatma and he likes to do this kind of frolicking activities. Now, whenever Shyamasundar would come to his friend Sundar Gop, the husband of Madhavi, she would go into the Antahapur, the inner quarters, and lock the door that Shyamasundar would not come and see her. Like that. And then when Shyamasundar left, and all the gopis were crying, and the whole Vrindavan was crying, Brajamandal was crying, then Krishna sent a lot of letters for each gopi, not printed by Microsoft and not printed by any typewriter, but handwritten letters from Krishna. So that's the difference between devotees and modern day technology. We should, if you know, I have this distaste for technology, screens and mobiles. Memorize shlokas. Antakalecha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. Not antakalecha mobile eva smaran muktva. No, it should be in you. Write with the hand. There is so much emotion. If there is any shake, you'll see in the letters, oh, the person has been emotionally here. Handwriting, reading is letter writing is a science. So each of the gopis got their letter when Uddhava came with all these letters. And Madhavi was also waiting for her letter, but no letter was there for her. So she started crying and crying and more crying and more crying. Finally, Krishna appeared to her and said, why are you crying, Madhavi? What is wrong? He said, why didn't you send a letter for me also? Well, every day I used to come to your home to meet you, but you always hid from me. It is your mistake, not my mistake. You didn't want to have a relationship with me. You became tatastha. See? You became tatastha. And she realized, yes, so my mistake. How can I, correct my mistake now? Okay, you want to correct your mistake? Take incarnation in Kali Yuga and preach my Viraha Bhakti. And Krishna disappeared. Then she started crying and fearing, going to Kali Yuga alone? How will this happen? And as she was crying with her head on a stone, then her Sakhi came, Champakalata. He said, why are you crying? And she narrated the whole story, what happened. So then there is only one solution, she said. We have to go to Shrimati Radharani. Only she can solve this. So that's the thing. If Krishna slaps you, you have to go to Shrimati Radharani. And she said, Shrimati Radharani is told, listen, yes, if Krishna says, you have to do what he says. But I promise you, you will not fall in Maya. If this Sakhi is with you, Champakalata, she'll protect you. And this is what happened then. She incarnated as Meera in Mewar. And she had a maidservant named Champa. You can guess only once who this Champa was. This Champa was Champakalata, protecting her from all kinds of dangers she had to encounter. But here you find that when she came to the material world, you can say it's not really a fall down, it is dharma. Yes, it is dharma what she did. But Hari Bhakti is beyond dharma, is higher than dharma. See? And she made a mistake. So you can say this is a fall down. Or you can say it's not a fall down. So Marima disagree. According to Dharma's laws, she fulfilled her dharma. But that's not enough. Just like Dharmaraj Yudhishthir, Krishna told him, you say that Ashwathama has died. So he said, Ashwathama hataiti. But because he's Dharmaraj, he cannot give up dharma. Narova kunjarova. That Krishna didn't tell him to say. It might be a man or an animal, or an elephant. Thus to keep attached to dharma instead of Krishna's words, it was like that. And something else happened also, like Jambavan, the great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, who fought against Ravana on the side of Ramachandra. When Ramachandra left, Jambavan stayed on the earth planet, and he started associating with other great personalities, like what's his name, Narakasur from Pragjotishpur. He started associating with the demons, and he became a demon. And Balaram had to kill him. Lakshman, he has to come back as Balaram, and he had to kill him. So there's another occasion where jivas can choose for tatastha, and they can fall into this material world. Now, of course, he was liberated, the great Jambavan. And he's described as a monkey, sometimes as a bear, but they could shapeshift. That's one thing. So that's quite interesting that when you realize who you are, also your breach of relationship is revealed to you. And in this regard, I wanted to read a little bit from the 6th canto, 1st chapter, text 49, where Srila Prabhupada says some very interesting thing here. Yes. As a sleeping person, this is the translation, as a sleeping person acts according to the body manifested in his dreams and accepts it to be himself, so one identifies with his present body, which he acquired because of his past religious or irreligious actions, and is unable to know his past or future lives. So it means that the jiva by nature can know his past lives and future lives. But if you become bound by the reactions of piety and sin, then you are not able to see your past and future lives. Actually, I wanted to read the whole purport, but we don't have so much time. So I'll just take the essential sections of that. And then Prabhupada says here, let's see what it is. Yes, according to his association with the material modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, a living entity gets a particular type of body. The example of one who associates with the mode of goodness is a qualified Brahman. Such a Brahman knows past, present, and future because he consults the Vedic literature and sees through the eyes of Shastra, Shastra Chakshu. He can understand what his past life was, why he is in the present body, and how he can obtain liberation from the clutches of Maya and not accept another material body. This is all possible when one is situated in the mode of goodness. Generally, however, the living entities are engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. And he says in the same purport, somehow or other, one must be enlightened about his past, present, and future. One who is interested only in his present body and who tries to enjoy his senses to the fullest extent is understood to be engrossed in the mode of ignorance. His future is very, very dark. So here, and he even mentions, there is even a book called Bhrigu Samhita, which reveals information about one's past, present, and future lives according to astrological calculations. Somehow or other, one must be enlightened. So Srila Prabhupada he's stressing in there that one should try to know what kind of envy there was you had towards Krishna, which made you fall into this situation of the material modes. Now, having said all that, although the jiva falls from his relationship, sambandha is never lost. He falls from his relationship with Krishna. The actual relationship is never lost if he falls in this material world. And there is evidence for that. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Suddha Chite Kare Udai. That Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. Krishna Prema, the love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart, that means your form of your spiritual form, which is made of Krishna Prema, is actually never lost. Sadhya Kabunai. Sadhya means it is coming from outside. Like when you want to have a sweater, you have to buy it from outside. This is not like that. Krishna Prema is always within you. It is only covered. Therefore, Shravanadi Suddha Chite, when you hear the holy name and with a pure heart and pure consciousness, Kara E Udai, the holy name will reveal it. It will simply, it's a matter of revelation. And also the Gita supports this. Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidiyate swalapamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss and diminution. And a little bit advancement on this path can save one from the greatest type of fear. Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yadagatva na nivartante tadhama paramam manaha. In that abode, there is no need for sunlight, electricity, or moonlight. Everything is always effulgent there. And once having gone there, one does not return to this material world. So in this understanding, we can see that what actually happens is that consciousness is lowered from Atma, from the level of Atma to something else, to ego, to intelligence, mind, and body. Otherwise, even physically, living on earth, one can still be in Goloka. Even while you're sitting here in Köln, you can still be in Goloka. And the evidence is coming from the third canto, second chapter, verse number 6, where it says, this is the section where Vidur, he was ostracized by Duryodhan. He scolded him because, Vidur was chastising Duryodhan. He couldn't tolerate that, though he is, equal on the level of his father, his uncle. But Duryodhan's are like that. So Vidur was so disgusted with this fellow, so he left Hastinapur and he went on pilgrimage. And as he went on pilgrimage, he met Uddhava in a place called Gyanagudri, which is in north of Vrindavan, near the Rangaji temple. And there Uddhava was in meditation. He was actually living in Goloka, it says there. The great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane, and wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence of the past and spoke to Vidur in a pleasing mood. So, his body was there in Jnana Gudri in Vrindavan, but his heart, his Atma was there in Goloka. And when Vidur spoke to him, then he came to external consciousness. So, therefore, in spite of having fallen in this world, one can still live in Goloka. But one has to be able to be aware, experience the Atman. Then this will be possible. I think should end here and invite questions, because I can go on speaking for another hour, but it's almost 9 o'clock. So I end the class here. If I get a chance to speak tomorrow, I can continue on this topic. Hare Krishna. Any questions?
In the beginning, you talked about the Brahman, Brahmayoti. You said when somebody, when his mind is not like Krishna, you fall down. But I thought when you go to the Brahmayoti, you don't change nothing, you just floating without mind, something.
What I did was that I was quoting a purport where Srila Prabhupada mentions that nobody falls from Vaikuntha, that line, which created a lot of controversy in our society. But in the same purport, Prabhupada goes on to explain that if you are like an impersonalist, a Mayavadi, or then you definitely fall from the Brahmajyoti and they come to the material world. And it is based on Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 33, Yenye Ravindaksha Vimuktamaninas, like that. So floating in the Brahmajyoti, there is only conscious bliss, and there's nothing like that. There's no forms, no nothing. So it, according to what you experience in Vrindavan, in the other rasas, that's considered to be tasteless. That's what I explained. And it says there, Anadritya Yushmad Angare, because they don't respect and have love for the limbs of Krishna, these people, or these jivas, they fall from the Brahmajyoti into the material nature. That's what I said.
Yeah. I didn't understand because I know everyone falls down from Brahmajyoti, but I never thought you also have consciousness in Brahmajyoti. Of course, you just, I don't know.
It is Satchitananda, but there is no Swarup. See? Therefore, people aspire for that. It's eternal. You can stay there eternally if you like. Chit, there's consciousness, there's Ananda. But the Ananda should be basically your own Ananda, Ananda of the Atma itself. Also called sometimes Brahmananda. But if you get desires for forms, you don't belong there anymore. And because you don't have any relationship in a world beyond that light, you have to go to that world where there are forms lower than that light, which means material nature. Like that. Is that clear? Okay. Some other question?
Maybe the most important for me to remember one's original mistake, so to say. If I understand it properly, you said, okay, by sinful activities and by the reactions of previous sinful activities and by forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna, we forgot these kind of things. So now we need to chant the holy names purely, right? And cultivate actively sufficient in order to come to that platform.
Mhm.
Is that proper?
That is very proper. The activity we are doing in Krishna consciousness, if it's done in a proper way, then the reactions of past piety and past sin will be dissolved. And then when that becomes dissolved, it's like clearing the sky. And then when you see the Vidhyate Hridaya Granthis Chidyante Sarva Sanshaya Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Drishtevatmanishware. First canto, second chapter. And this is one of the last verses where this says that when one sees the self, one also sees the Supreme Self, Krishna also. So then everything becomes revealed. Vidhyate hridaya granthis. All the knots in the hearts are cut. Chidyante sarva sanshaya. All the doubts are slashed away by understanding. Kshiyante chasya karmani. All karmic reactions are finished. Kshine puni. Kshine means to be zero, finished. Then drishteva atmanishware. When one sees the self, one also sees the super self. So that's based, what I said, is based on this verse. So along that, all the understanding will be your foolishness from how you fell, what kind of envy you had. And most of the divas say, no, I don't want to be Krishna. I think most of us have already reached that state, Therefore you are here living in a temple. You don't want to be that person before you join the movement. Smoking this, eating that. No. I don't want to be like, fake Krishna in Germany. I always like to be just his servant. So it's already indicating that is the first step. Jivir Swarupahoy Krishna Nityadas. That's the first understanding of Sambandha. But it's true, you still don't know who you actually are. What kind of das are you? Or dasi are you? That has to be further cleansed. And then one day you'll find, you can see in the mirror, and it is not theory. Tadvidhi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatudarshinah. Just try to learn the absolute truth by approaching bona fide spiritual masters, because they have seen the truth. You have to go in humility and ask questions. That seeing the truth doesn't mean with a lot of pushing and intellect and reading many books. No. When you stand in front of the mirror to comb your hairs, and that one day it is not you anymore in the German body, but you see a shining effulgence, a beautiful form, completely attached and crying for Krishna, then you know you're actually seeing. You're actually seeing then. That's how it is. It's not a matter of intellect. There is no mind in there. In Goloka, there are no minds. No material minds are there. No egos are there. Everything is pure in its original state. Pure Atma in relationship with Krishna, Prema. There is no material mind, material body, which you see in the mirror in the morning, like that. Then you know, okay, I have attained the ultimate perfection.
So in order to reach there, I must be situated firmly in Sattva-gun.
Sattva-gun is the easiest step towards transcendence. Rajas is binding you to sense gratification, and tamas is destructive. So better to take Sattva-gun, which is it's binding you with a lot of knowledge. But if you're actually very studious, like I myself, okay, and talk about myself, at one point you're completely saturated with all the knowledge, but nothing is happening. You wonder, what is wrong here? Then, you hope you can pray to the deities. I've read all the books, I've understood all the topics, I can recite many verses. But is that everything? Then you realize, no, you have to give up that also. You have to go into a state of looking inward. Looking at Bahirmukh, not Antarmukh. Knowledge will help you then, but you have to go into a deep, you can say like a meditative state, like Uddhava was. And then you can grow further. Because first comes karma, then comes jnana, and then comes dhyana. So unless you come to the level of dhyana, then you cannot step beyond jnana, beyond your intellectual understanding. And then kind of a dryness comes, and after having read so many things, you feel there's nothing happening. No, it won't happen. You have to give up the level of the mind. You have to go to the level of the Atman. And level of the Atman is reached by meditation. Inward. Yourself is not somewhere there in Köln. No, it's inside here. Here is the self. You have to look here. But if you close your eyes, you only see dark. So how to look? There are techniques for that. If people are interested, I'm willing to do, for those who are really serious, some techniques how to look inside. It's over 9. I think we have to stop here. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.